Hey guys, it's Fancy, and you're watching the Good Wives Network, and I'm about to play a video for you. This was put together by Bree and her team last night. They did an amazing job. They have given me permission to share this. I will be sharing it on my YouTube as well. No, this does not mean that we are besties and working together.
Gypsy Rose Blanchard, once the center of one of the most shocking true crime stories in modern history, has found herself back in the spotlight, but this time, it's not for her tragic past. Just months after her highly publicized release from prison, where she served time for her role in the murder of her mother.
That we came together in a time of looking and trying to expose someone who has been out here lying about her credentials, who she is, her husband, everything. And the other day, you all think
Gypsy has become entangled in a rapidly escalating feud with a group of online content creators. What started as a series of online disagreements has now spiraled into allegations of cyberstalking and doxing, potentially putting Gypsy at risk of violating her parole and facing serious legal repercussions. The controversy centers around Becca Scoops, a well-known figure in the true crime and online commentary space. Becca has spent years building a reputation as a researcher who provides deep, fact-driven analysis of high-profile criminal cases.
I doxed the wrong person. First of all, I didn't dox anybody. And second of all, the only reason that any of us thought that Becca's name was Dana is because she stole Dana's story. Dana is the widow of Becca's ex.
Her content is known for going beyond the surface-level narratives often portrayed in mainstream media, and she has cultivated a dedicated following of viewers who appreciate her meticulous approach to investigating true crime stories. One of Becca's most controversial takes has been her critical examination of Gypsy's case. While many people view Gypsy solely as the victim of Munchausen by proxy, Becca has taken a more nuanced approach.
Not Becca. She was divorced from him for over a year before he passed away. He had just gotten married to Dana. And so Becca likes to tell the story and pretend that she was the grieving widow that was still married to him. I assure you, she was not. Allow me to grab the video from Bree.
Raising questions about inconsistencies in Gypsy's statements, her level of involvement in planning her mother's murder, and the legal decisions surrounding her sentencing and early release. Becca's research, which is based on court documents, publicly available evidence, and recorded statements from those involved in the case, has challenged the widely accepted perception that Gypsy was entirely blameless in the events leading up to her mother's death.
Please explain. In your reposted videos, you had shared a video that is promoting criminal behavior. Somebody at Gypsy Rose is close to recently shared creators' information.
Naturally, this level of scrutiny hasn't been well received by Gypsy or her inner circle. Over time, Gypsy, along with two of her close friends, Bree and Fancy, began to perceive Becca as a direct threat to Gypsy's reputation and newfound public image. But instead of countering Becca's arguments with their own evidence or simply ignoring the content, Gypsy and her associates allegedly took a far more aggressive approach.
Making them easy to find, should anybody in the public want to find this person. I think they call this doxing, which I don't agree with in any situation. But that is a slippery slope when you are on parole. I think they refer to that as a potential version.
What began as online criticism quickly escalated into a full-blown campaign to silence and discredit Becca. Bree and Fancy reportedly launched an effort to uncover Becca's personal information details that she had intentionally kept private to protect herself and her family. They allegedly combed through social media, online databases, and any other sources they could find in an attempt to dig up as much information on her as possible. And when they found what they were looking for, they didn't keep it to themselves.
This is just another highlight on how Gypsy Rose Blanchard is not rehabilitated. She has not changed her criminogenic thinking. But it is things like this that truly give insight that Gypsy Rose Blanchard has not changed.
Becca's private information was publicly exposed, and it didn't stop at just revealing her identity. Bree and Fancy allegedly went as far as making accusations about Becca's personal and political beliefs, attempting to frame her as someone with a hidden agenda against Gypsy. This, many believe.
There you have it. That's the truth. in her own words, in her own court documents. If you did not see the video that I put out earlier today, I think I put it out yesterday, maybe. It was the reading from the domestic violence charges that she had to.
Was a strategic move rather than addressing the valid criticisms Becca had raised. They sought to discredit her by making her the target of controversy. Then, the situation took a dramatic turn when Gypsy herself got directly involved. Instead of stepping back and letting her friends handle the situation, she actively participated by sharing the doxed information on her massive platform, where she has 9.6 million followers. This wasn't just a case of passive endorsement. By amplifying the content that revealed Becca's private details, Gypsy ensured that the exposure reached an even wider audience.
Take responsibility for the fact that she lied about them in her divorce decree because she was angry at her husband for having an affair. She was who got violent. He was the one who was trying to diffuse the situation. And when he pushed her backwards to keep her from...
At this point, the situation crossed into potentially illegal territory. In many states, doxing, the act of publicly sharing someone's private information without their consent, is considered a form of cyberstalking, which can carry severe legal consequences. In Louisiana, where Gypsy is currently on parole, cyberstalking laws encompass a wide range of electronic harassment behaviors, including the intentional dissemination of personal information with the intent to cause fear, distress, or harm. If Becca can demonstrate that the exposure of her private details resulted in legitimate distress, Gypsy and Bree could potentially face legal consequences. This is particularly concerning for Gypsy, as any new criminal charge could trigger a parole violation, potentially sending her back to prison to serve the remainder of her original sentence.
She fell on a coffee table and she thought it was broken. And when he called 911, that's what she told them. Now, no one was arrested, no charges were filed, but it did come up in her divorce decree. It was used in a court of law during those proceedings. When the murderer of her...
The situation is even more serious in California, where Becca resides. Unlike Louisiana, California has explicit laws against doxing. Under California Penal Code Section 653.2, the electronic distribution of another person's private information, if done with the intent to cause harassment, fear, or distress, is considered a criminal offense.
Went on trial, they brought up the fact that he used excessive use of force, and they were trying to prove that he was a violent police officer. And so Becca was called on his behalf to tell them that she did lie under oath.
The law also states that if the individual who is doxed suffers real-world consequences, such as threats, harassment, or a breach of safety, then the person responsible can be subject to prosecution. This means that Becca has a strong case should she choose to pursue legal action against Gypsy and Bree. If convicted, the penalties for cyberstalking and doxing can range from hefty fines to imprisonment, depending on the severity of the case.
Divorce proceedings. So there you have it, guys. And good work, Bree and team. And no, we're not besties and we're not friends and we're not working together. But we had a mutual respect and a mutual understanding to come together to expose a rather heinous...
But beyond the legal implications, the psychological toll on Becca has been enormous. She had gone to great lengths to keep her personal life separate from her online presence, taking every precaution to ensure that her private details remained undisclosed. However, with her information now exposed to potentially millions of people, she has been left feeling vulnerable, unsafe, and deeply shaken.
Said this word, and they were arguing, they're flipping out over us saying that they doxed Becca because they're insisting that they didn't dox Becca. Blah, 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 blah. They didn't, blah, 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 blah.
During a recent live stream, Becca broke down in tears as she recounted the overwhelming anxiety she had experienced since the incident. She described the sheer terror of realizing that complete strangers now had access to the most intimate details of her life, details that could be used to track her down, show up at her home, or even contact her loved ones.
So they keep bringing up this Beth person's article. I don't know. I haven't seen the article. But they always bring it up. So to show their, I don't want to use the word hypocrisy.
She admitted that she now lives in constant fear, not just for herself, but for her children as well. The psychological impact of being doxxed, especially by a high-profile figure like Gypsy, has turned what was once an online dispute into a real-world nightmare. Meanwhile, Bree has openly admitted to spending entire nights digging into Becca's past, scouring every corner of the internet for any trace of personal information she could find.
I was trying to use that as an example. They brought the article up. They're like, yeah, oh, so-and-so had that article. I said, can somebody send me the article, for my research? Because Bree was in the Discord saying things like that, she's not doxing Becca because she was putting out the truth and she was just researching.
Once she obtained this information, she allegedly broadcasted it on a live stream, revealing details that Becca had deliberately kept private for her own safety. But Bree didn't stop there. She actively encouraged her audience to spread the details even further, turning the situation into a full-scale harassment campaign. Bree attempted to justify her actions by claiming that she was simply holding Becca accountable.
Mama said, send me that article so I can do my research. And it triggered her, and she went crazy and doxed my children.
That is, Bree. You should keep track of that stuff. And
Yeah. So
it was really disturbing because she knew the.
But many have pointed out that there is a significant difference between accountability and doxing, and Bree had undeniably crossed that line. Accountability involves addressing misinformation or unethical behavior with facts and constructive criticism. Doxing, on the other hand, is a form of targeted harassment designed to intimidate, silence, and endanger a person. Now, the biggest question on everyone's mind is,
California state law, laws against doxing. If it's intentional and it's malicious, which both are, and we're going to get into the definitions of that, looking at the state laws of California and why they broke, this could be.
Will Gypsy face legal repercussions for her role in this controversy? As of now, no official charges have been filed, but the situation is rapidly evolving. Many believe it is only a matter of time before Becca pursues legal action, given the severity of what has transpired. If that happens, Gypsy could once again find herself in a courtroom, only this time, instead of fighting to prove that she was a victim of abuse, she may be forced to answer for her own actions. Bree took things a step further by allegedly digging into Becca's private life.
Misdemeanor that serves up to maybe even 6 months to a year in jail or prison or whatever. I have to look at the details because I'm kind of going off the fly here, but I've seen it there. It's malicious. If it's malicious, if you went out there to seek private information,
uncovering personal details she had intentionally kept hidden, she then shared this information online, exposing Becca to widespread harassment. But the situation escalated even further when Gypsy herself got involved, using her massive platform of 9.6 million followers to amplify the exposure. By resharing the content that revealed Becca's private details, Gypsy's involvement turned the harassment campaign into a potential criminal act. In multiple states, doxing, publicly exposing someone's private information with malicious intent, falls under cyberstalking laws, and Louisiana, where Gypsy is currently on parole, has strict regulations against electronic harassment.
Consent of that other party, that right there is doxing. So that's what they did. They went researched it for malicious purposes to expose.
And to also include in your video that you're calling yourself and your group of friends, you're implicating all.
If Becca can prove that the exposure of her information led to legitimate distress and harm, legal action could be taken against both Gypsy and Bree. When confronted, Bree refused to back down. Instead, she attempted to manipulate the situation in her favor by sending a message to Sir Morbid, a well-known content creator in the drama community. In the message, she simultaneously admitted to exposing Becca's information while attempting to justify her actions. "I get it, your people are mad because I exposed Becca's past," she wrote.
Calling yourself an F-Bree-I, and
so
including
low cal.
It is, but it's stupid also because you're literally saying that you're investigating people's
backgrounds.
That's
real
weird.
Lives.
Yeah. And
what Becca is doing is illegal, and she could face criminal charges, but I never had intentions of doxing. I found what was publicly available. But because my husband doesn't deserve people threatening him or his job, I am willing to get my people to back off Becca if your people stop threatening my husband. The message not only served as a self-incriminating confession, but also read like a blatant attempt at blackmail, offering to stop harassment in exchange for Becca's supporters backing off. Becca was not the only victim. Another content creator, Hello Starlight, revealed that Bree had allegedly doxed her minor children in a Discord group after she publicly questioned Bree's actions.
I do know that. Apparently they got my picture, so they're coming for me next. So.
Yeah,
I
well,
don't, that blows my mind. I don't know what you've done. You haven't done anything.
Well, it's just because I'm here, you know.
Exactly.
So it is what it is.
But
Instead of engaging in a discussion, Bree retaliated in the most extreme way possible, exposing private details about innocent children simply because their mother spoke out. The violations didn't stop there. Ivory Rose, another creator who had criticized Gypsy and Bree, claimed that the two actually showed up at her workplace. What had started as online drama had now spilled over into real-life intimidation, sending a clear and terrifying message. We know where you are. In another disturbing case, content creator Nina became a target after criticizing Gypsy and Bree. In a shocking act of retaliation, Bree allegedly contacted Nina's workplace and left a damaging false review, ultimately leading to Nina losing her job. Bree later bragged about how easily she had gotten Nina fired, showing no remorse for the real-world consequences of her actions.
that they're trying to normalize doxing. They're trying to normalize investigating people and looking to see what skeletons they may have in their closet. And that is not normal behavior at all.
yeah. I mean, that's a very common tactic for
These incidents have gone beyond typical internet feuds. They are calculated acts of harassment that have significantly disrupted people's lives. When online disputes escalate to the point of jeopardizing someone's safety, career, and family, they become more than just social media drama. They cross into criminal behavior. With mounting evidence, Gypsy's situation is becoming increasingly precarious. Unlike Bree, she is currently on parole, meaning that any legal misstep could have dire consequences. If found guilty of cyberstalking, her parole could be revoked, sending her back to prison to serve the remainder of her original sentence.
internet trolls, the classic internet troll. You know, I've dealt with these stalkers, harassers, cyber stalkers, using the internet for harassing.
Prosecutors could also pursue additional charges under cyberstalking laws, which carry penalties ranging from hefty fines to jail time. Legal experts have pointed out that Gypsy's history could work against her. Given that her original crime involved online deception, this new case could establish a pattern of behavior rather than a one-time mistake. If the court determines that she is using digital platforms to harm others yet again, it could severely impact her chances of receiving leniency in the future. The big question now is, will Becca pursue legal action? Will Gypsy and Bree face the consequences of their actions? Gypsy and Bree may have thought they could control the narrative, but with so many people coming forward and the potential for legal action looming, this situation is only getting messier. Will Becca take this to court? Will Gypsy face consequences for violating her parole? And just how deep does this rabbit hole go? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Gypsy will be held accountable this time, or will she find a way out of this mess? Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications so you don't miss any updates on this unfolding drama. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.